Hey everyone, you're on Adobe Live at Adobe Symposium 2019. Right now we have John and Duncan who are going to take us through a bit of things around Rush, which is really exciting. Why don't you guys start by introducing yourselves?
Sure. My name's John Barrie. I am the Strategic Development Manager for Pro Video and the video tools. So Rush is not aimed at pros, and so that's where we're trying to make sure people understand that there's two products. There's Rush and there's Premiere Pro. So I'm happy to have a customer here with me to talk about it too.
Yeah, I'm Duncan Bell, Digital Marketing Manager for GHD. GHD is a 10,000 person professional services firm, mainly made up of architects and engineers. So we're quite new to the Rush journey.
Cool, exciting. Well, why don't we get started?
Sure.
Take it away.
So I wanted to just sort of frame that this was around video communication, and that's kind of the theme that we have with GHD. It's not so much about social media and all these sort of platforms and things that people tend to relate to this type of product and where that makes sense. There's a whole other aspect that we wanted to just highlight through this discussion. So I just want to bring up a nice stat here that is kind of insane. This is 604.8 trillion minutes of video every week within the next 2 years.
Wow.
And just to put this into perspective, this is 23,000 times as much of the first 60 years of the BBC.
Wow.
And it's just going to get more and more.
Is that everywhere or in Rush?
No, this is total viewing minutes online.
It's everywhere, yeah.
Everywhere.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy how quickly video has become like a new way that people want to do communication.
Yeah.
And some of the reasons it's got to do with the social media life,
Of course,
obviously.
yep.
So, we're going from something like YouTube, which was a very groundbreaking platform, which is still a staple in that space. And then we've got other social media platforms where video is just sort of becoming more and more interconnected with where it may not have started that way, but now video is a very important part of that experience. And I just wanted to kind of get to the point of why. It's great that it's cool and it's great that it's a buzzword, but when you really understand why, it helps shape the way you think of where video might make sense in other spaces. And so the reason why it grabs attention is that it's part of this limbic system, which is part of your lower part of your brain where you catch attention. It's like fight or flight type stuff, that something moving and it's a bit of action, a bit of noise, it grabs your attention. And then having a conversation, you can ramble, but when you make a video, you cut out all the ramble and you just stay on point.
Yeah.
And then it's in a format and across platforms where it's shareable. And so there's that social aspect of, did you see the thing? Oh, no, I haven't. Let me send you the link. And now that we've got all these devices that are on us that are connected, we can consume this on a whim. So that's what makes video kind of cut through other things like email or newsletters or just stuff that's a bit dry.
Yeah.
So I just want to again reiterate that the mobile phone is where that has taken off. It's not just something you consume with now as a device. It's something you can shoot and edit and consume and deliver all in your pocket. It's kind of crazy.
Amazing.
How
Yeah.
quickly it's got to that point too.
Yeah.
So what is Rush? It's a platform in itself. It's an application, but it's not just an application that sits on a device. It runs across devices and it runs across operating systems. So I've got an Android phone, I've got a Windows machine, you've got a Mac desktop, laptop, and then there's iPhones as well. So how do you go from an iPhone to Windows? Like transferring video files over so then you can edit on the laptop. That's difficult. And so we make it so you start somewhere and you can kind of keep syncing and then be able to pick up on whichever device you have. As long as you're signed in, it syncs. And that is kind of what makes this a really unique kind of tool.
Seamless sort of workflow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's been designed to be a very simple tool to get your head around as well. It's supposed to entice those who otherwise are a little scared of using video. So I've got a video file here that we can watch. It's a case study with RMIT and how some students, some first-year students in a media course, went off without any training and they got their head around it. So I'll just play the video. It only goes for a minute or so. We'll go from there.
Without any training, students were sent out with Adobe Premiere Rush to put together a promo video, and the results that came back were really quite amazing.
Definitely going to be one of those apps anyone can have access to, and it's quite easy to use, especially with the tutorial.
When I started using Premiere Pro, I needed someone to help me use it. When I started using Premiere Rush, I could figure it out for myself.
What I love about Adobe Premiere Rush is its accessibility between a range of systems and devices. So with my iPhone 10 and my Windows PC, I could just transfer between the two simultaneously.
And I particularly love that you can just edit straight on your phone.
My favourite thing about Adobe Premiere Rush is the ability to change between landscape, portrait and square modes in just a few clicks.
The main feature that I liked was the audio ducking, which allows you to lower the audio levels every time there's a talking part, and it just makes it a bit more seamless.
From your phone, you can shoot, edit and publish on the fly.
Anyone who's making video content, I think this is going to be a game changer.
Amazing.
Cool. So yeah, in making that experience with RMIT, a lot of the footage that you saw in that video of them running around and kind of interacting with how they were using the product, that was part of an agreed assignment for them to go off and make a promo about using Rush.
Yep.
But they went off and they literally had no training. I just said, here's the product, and that was part of the beta, actually. They got in very late in the beta.
Yep.
And so we were working with them to find out where it didn't quite work and where it wasn't able to be learned on your own. But they sort of ran with it and just had an amazing experience.
Cool.
So something that came up in that video is that using Premiere, you need someone to kind of teach you how to use it.
Yeah.
And so I've got the Premiere Pro timeline here of the same project that is already on Rush as well, but you can see, looking at all the different panels, and there's just a lot of stuff.
Yep.
There's a lot of things there that can be overwhelming, especially to people who are new to video, that want to do short form. They just want to kind of have something quick and out, and this just feels like too much. And so then this is the same project inside of Rush. And so Rush is designed to be very clean, very lean, and there are other options and other panels that pop in and out, but it's part of what we call a disclosure. So unless you go searching for it, we won't show you things that you didn't click on.
Yep.
To save space and keep it feeling like it's less stress. It's easy to get in. So less is more, in that it's more attractive to jump into Rush than it would be to go into Premiere.
Yeah, the barrier to entry is a lot lower, I guess, in that sense.
Yeah, the skill set is quite minimal. And so, yeah, we do have a tutorial or a tour, which they mentioned in the video as well, that helps people kind of get their first experience and understand how the basics of it work. So this is now where we start thinking a bit wider than just social media. But there's other aspects of social media that now I want Duncan to sort of have his input as far as how, just fairly recently, Adobe came in to GHD and we ran a creative jam just on Rush. And there were quite a few users that were there that were very new to video and hadn't actually done any of that before. So could you just sort of tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I guess previously a lot of our communications had been text-based, and there's been an urge, just because YouTube and video's all out there, to do more video, but then there's been a bit of a barrier, I guess, internally, because we're a professional services firm, that we want it to be at a level, and that might be more perception than anything, a barrier to doing video. So yeah, we run a Rush creative jam with people from all across Asia Pacific. We had people from Manila, Melbourne, Brisbane and New Zealand, as well as in Sydney. And I'd say 90% of the users were first-time users to Rush and had never really done any video editing. And funny enough, the ones that, within the jam, we ran a to make it more practical than just someone such as John presenting great stuff about Rush, there was an exercise where they had an hour and a half to create videos, and the ones that sort of came to the top of the pile were not particularly. They came from the people that didn't have any background in Rush. So
Right.
I think it just showed, through Rush and what you've just demonstrated with the different interface between Premiere and Rush, how, that barrier to using video can be brought down.
I remember there were a few people that had won different we did a few categories of winners.
Yeah.
But the one that to me stood out was the concept of going in with just an introduction of who you were and then having one problem and then having a solution for that and just keep it short and sweet. So I took that KISS kind of acronym that most creative people are aware of and reframed that for people who are not creative to keep it short and sweet. And so the one that won and stood out to me was with a group of workers there that were not creative people per se, and they had just a really great idea. It was trying to explain something that is difficult to talk about, it's difficult to put in email, but when they did a video, it really was a light bulb moment for them. Yeah. So what else has been going on at GHD as far as this transition from traditional ways of communicating where video is now taking on a bit more of a role?
Yeah, so I guess it's taking more than just doing it on social media or on our website. We've started to use it more in internal communication. So recently, as a pre-exercise to getting ready for a big tender for a really key client, rather than send the person that was the bid coordinator, rather than have her send out emails and ring people up and try and get them enthused, we actually created a video that used a little bit of humour. We need your help. If we don't do well on this tender, you're going to have to answer to these people, and showed various management, and just few different other messages around, like we can try doing it, but we're not the experts in engineering. And showed some engineering fails, so just a different way to get people engaged, rather than her ringing up these people and trying to get them engaged. So that's something that's quite new, and that really resonated. It's sort of was a lot more authentic, engaging, more, I guess, human. And then also we've had an internal newsletter talking around the company's transformation. And in the last edition, we included a video on the homepage. And we saw a spike in the traffic and the views, probably of the 15 to 20%. And the video itself got probably 60 to 70% of our 10,000 employees viewing it. So we definitely noticed, the inclusion of video as opposed to when it wasn't. And I think, just in general, people find it, there's still some people that like it text form, but including video as well really helps the engagement.
A term that we were talking about earlier was cut-through, in that video is engaging. It's something that you do tend to stop doing stuff and kind of at least listen in. So there's multiple inputs of information and data, what's happening. You've got the expression of people that are there, and then you've got the voice as well as the hand gestures and all that kind of energy. And so, it's pretty interesting. These guys are on a journey. They're at the sort of very early stages of it, but I think it's kind of interesting going through this type of list, and I won't reference it now because it's been up long enough. I think people can sort of see that there's a whole bunch of other ways that you can think about where video might make sense. It's not just social media and external communications. There's a lot of internal messaging that can be short and sweet and to the point and have humour and, build that culture inside.
Yeah, there's a lot more depth to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just other things like we do a lot of proposals, and it traditionally being PDF or document-based. And as a supplement, we're starting to see more and more people using videos to introduce the pitch team and humanise it. So I think, it's not just your traditional use it within your social media or post it on your website. That's obviously still front and centre as well. But there's like you said, so many different ways that you can get the message across much more authentically.
So one thing that we deliberately put inside of Rush is that you can maintain branding. So if you have got teams that are doing higher quality, bit more produced stuff, and there's usually a small team of people that do that. But as this scale of video, hunger for video needs to be scaled out, how do you maintain sort of branding? And so we've got this mechanism called motion graphics templates, which you can design inside of Premiere today anyway, make them inside of the Premiere titles engine, and then that is compatible with Rush.
Right.
So you can have quite a clean experience where there's the least amount of lifting in order to maintain brand. You just drag and drop a thing and you kind of put in a title and it moves really cool, and they just double click on the text and put the text that needs to be there at that point. But then it has a great look and feel, and it makes them feel great that they can make something that looks like a professional video.
Polished, yeah.
So just on this, I've got just a short video here that shows how this works. So I've got the desktop version of Rush on the left, and then I've got the mobile version on the right. And going through the titles engine, there's a search functionality, and then you just drag and drop stuff in, and it moves really cool. Then you can go in and make changes to it. Once you've closed that, you can open it up on the other device, and once the synchronization has occurred, you can pick up where you left off. So you can start with the phone, which most people probably would shoot something with the phone and then move to the desktop. And it allows you to just have a continuum experience. In here, though, this is where I'm starting to add a few more details while I'm on the phone, and then see what that's like. And then again, I get out of that and go back over to the desktop. And I can see I've now got this transition that's happening on the back end. And I've got this full brand fidelity going between the different devices. Now, beyond that, if you were wanting to work with people that are using Premiere as well, we call this the power of two. So a lot of people freak out. They're like, oh, are you going to make Premiere Rush? And is Rush going to become Premiere? Is that sort of where this is going? And we definitely don't want to go down that road. Premiere has its place. Rush has its place. It's a new type of user, new users, video curious users that are like, well, I'm a designer, but maybe video, but look at Premiere, I freak out. But if you do need to make some sort of a transition from, we start with Rush, you can finish in Premiere.
And that's something we would definitely see as well. The people at the Jam were new users to Rush, but then we've got specialists who are Premiere, so they can start it and hand it over to the professionals if need be.
Nice collaboration, kind of.
Yeah. There's an extended journey that you can have with the tools, and you're throwing back into the ecosystem of Adobe. So it's not just a tool that within itself, it is quite capable in its own right, but it has that ability to hook up to the rest of the Adobe family of tools. So yeah, this is on a little loop here. So I'll just sort of walk through once the loop comes back. You can basically go in and from the home page of Premiere, there is new project, open project, but there's also one that's open a Premiere Rush project. So here it is here, open Premiere Rush project. You click on that, it basically gives you the interface of what your projects are in Rush on the desktop, and then it converts it to a Premiere Pro project where you can continue working. So all the elements that are there, I can still continue changing the text and all the rest of it. Nothing's flattened, it's all the parts are there. So that's kind of it for now. We've got a tiny bit of time, but I'm not sure whether we give back that time.
No, that's all good.
To you guys,
something I think I was just wondering, I guess, from like maybe the audience's perspective, is like, do you have any advice for someone who's just getting started with Rush?
Sure. So probably the main thing I've noticed with people who are wanting to start video is that they kind of get to a point where they fiddle around and then it doesn't turn into anything. So you might be able to go, well, I kind of get the tool, but I don't understand how this is going to help me with what I'm doing. So understanding basic story structure of how video is used to tell a story, what makes it different to a presentation, for example. And one of the things that I've noticed is that there's a concept of show and tell, which is more like show with tell. So when you have somebody talking about something and then they reference something that you could visualize, take the camera there, it's called B-roll or overlay or cutaways. that concept, a lot of people new to this don't understand. Once they get that, you can have someone talking underneath and just pop on top a video that shows that in detail. And that's what drives the engagement and keep things sort of moving as well. Once people understand this, when they shoot, they think to get those shots too. Then when they come back to edit, it just sort of edits itself. It's just a matter of cleaning up the sides, like the in and the out point, or maybe there's some junk in the middle. That one concept of how to tell a story is kind of the key thing. I think we drilled on that for the Creative Jam, and a lot of people then felt confident they can tell a story. Like, if I asked you what you had for breakfast, you could tell me. Whether you do it in an animated way or not, you're telling me a story. So there's no need to feel like you're creative in order to have a story to tell. You just have information you want to communicate. And it's video communication is the goal.
Is that something you're seeing in your team? That more story-driven kind of content creation?
Yeah, and it definitely is. Yeah, I'd reiterate that point that is the challenge. Like, anyone can create a video, but it's really thinking ahead of time what the story is and how you can structure it and what the hooks would be. And then you get, when you've thought about that, then you think about what footage do I need? Do I need, in the intro, someone walking out of the lifts and some outside shots? So then it really helps focus on what you're going to shoot and then put the whole thing together. So definitely the storytelling is the important tool.
Cool.
And just play.
Yeah, have fun.
What's the worst that can happen? That's part of the learning process. You know? So I think if you get your hands on the tool, on the mobile devices, you can get it from the App Store, you can get it from Play Store, and you can start for free. It's got 3 exports for free. Once you hit that limit, then it will ask for the subscription. But if you have Premiere Pro and you already have a subscription to that, you get Rush with that for free. And if you've got all apps, again, it's one of those all apps. So yeah, if you're interested in having a go, there's really no barrier other than your own ability to press a button and get going.
Cool, awesome. Such a versatile product. Yeah, I definitely want to, maybe I'll try it out around here a little bit for the rest of today.
Well, we're in Symposium today, so yeah, there's plenty of things to get footage of, and overview video is better than a story. It's more engaging than photos. Photos are nice and pretty, but when things change and there's a flow and you kind of get sucked in,
Get
so
the energy.
time disappears a bit when you're watching a video.
Yeah. Nice, cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.